Hey, what's up, guys? DB71 here. Thank you for joining me today and welcome to the channel. Now, I do have to apologize for the hiatus I've taken, but I am back again. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, as you can see here, guys, this is the C8 Corvette. Now, after all of the fanfare that's happened, guys, I have to tell you, the car is absolutely beautiful, and I love this rendering here. Now, I have a couple complaints about the C8. Get me wrong, nothing fundamental, but I do feel as though they could have released at least a good set of wheels, something that really looked more fitting of the car, something like this. But either way, I know the aftermarket sector is going to be rife with great looking wheels. So I guess really all in all, there's no reason to be upset about that. But anyway, like I said, this car I think is just absolutely beautiful. And I'm not even a fan of red cars for the most part, but I would definitely take this any day of the week. Okay, so what I'm bringing you today, it's kind of confusing, right? Now, a couple of different publications here. We got Jalopnik and we have Car and Driver. Okay, so there is quite a discrepancy here between the two. I'm wondering which one is actually more accurate, but I'm going to go ahead and go through both of them so you'll see what I'm talking about. Now here, as you see, it says the title is the 2022 C8 Corvette Z06's rumored 800 horsepower engine might be a flat plane crank V8. Okay, now here they're saying it's the Z06 that will have this engine, the 800 horsepower, and I really hope this is the case. But Car and Driver, I don't know. We'll get into it. So it says here, as impressive as the base mid-engine 2020 C8 Corvette is, rumors are swirling that the upcoming C8R race car and inevitable 2022 Corvette Z06 will be powered by a monstrous twin-turbo flat-plane crank V8. And as you see here, let's go on. I think that's just more of the turbo engine. Now here it says even the 2022 C8 Corvette Z06 might be a 800 horsepower. So this is actually their link, but let's go ahead and get into it a little bit because, like I said, I'm a bit confused about it. We already heard reports over the weekend that the upcoming Z06 would get a twin turbo engine making around 800 horsepower and potentially more than 700 pound-feet of torque, which is ridiculous. But to get all that power and torque, Motor Trend is now reporting GM will use a flat plane crank engine. Okay. And to go on from Motor Trend, you've heard the rumors and you've seen the leaked CAD drawings. The car world has been speculating about overhead cams and turbochargers and flat plane cranks in the backs of C8 Corvettes for months now, but we've confirmed with a deep source on the Corvette team that the upcoming C8R race car, and more crucially, the C8 Corvette Z06 will be powered by a flat plane crank twin turbo dual overhead cam V8. Everyone thinks it will be a small block, but it won't be, said our source. Listen to the race car. So just to go ahead and get an understanding of what they're talking about, if you have not heard it, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So as you can hear, the car sounds awesome, right? And could very well be, I mean, I don't hear turbos in there at all, but I'm sure the race car, at least it does have the turbo, okay? Now, I don't think it really goes, oh, let's go ahead and get into this last paragraph here. As we pointed out over the weekend, the outgoing Z06 was far under the claimed 800 horsepower figure of the new one, making 650 horsepower and running into a ton of problematic cooling issues under consistently aggressive driving. Here's hoping Chevy has unlocked a few secrets to sure the new one can hit, to be sure, I'm sure they're trying to say, can hit more power and be more sustainable. So yes, the turbos will be much easier to deal with because you can actually get those turbos a bit further away from the engine and get them in a stream of air to help cool those off, as opposed to having a supercharger sitting right on the engine and just getting heat soaked as things heat up. But guys, let me go ahead and get into the other article here. Now you see here, Motor Trend has confirmed with their deep source that the Z06 C8 will be 800 horsepower and a flat plane crank. Now let's go on over to Car and Driver. Okay, and it says what we know about the flat plane crank V8 that will power the C8 Corvette Z06, ZR1, and hybrid. Okay, the expected, and the title under the title, the expected 5.5 liter engine will offer 600 to 1,000 horsepower and a Ferrari rivaling sound. Now, this was the first time I've heard anything about a 600 horsepower engine. Okay, now you might find this a bit interesting. This actually was released today. Today is the 28th of August, 2019, and as you see here, the article date is the same, and it says here, these bullet points: the 2020 C8 Corvette Stingray has arrived, but there will be many more high-performance Corvette models to come. We expect that the Z06 ZR1 and hybrid versions will use a 5.5 liter flat plane crank V8 engine in various states of tune, making between 600 and 1,000 horsepower. The Z06 is likely to arrive first, possibly sometime in 2020, with the ZR1 and hybrid versions to follow. And so already we see a bit of a discrepancy in the timeline. So Car and Driver is saying that the Z06 may be available next year as opposed to the 2022 timeframe. Now, honestly, this would, to me, make a bit more sense rather than putting the Z06 more than 2 years out from now. Okay. Now I could understand the ZR1 being 2 years out, but the Z06, I don't know. I mean, looking at this information here, it actually seems more accurate. Okay. Now, again, Motor Trend did say they confirmed this information with their source, which apparently has deep connections inside GM. But here they're saying a 2022 version, even though they're saying it's the 800 horsepower Z06. But that doesn't seem right. It's too far out from the release of the C8 Stingray. The Z06 coming out basically 2 years later, very possible, but that doesn't play along with what happened with the C7 models, right? Because the C7 Stingray came out in 2014. The Z06 came out the next year. Now, although they're saying 2020 here, I don't know. Maybe it will just be later in the year. Maybe that's what they're saying. But either way, like I said, I am a bit confused with these two articles because they are starkly different. Okay, so let me go ahead and read it, and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense, guys. It says the 6.2 liter LT2 V8 engine in the new 2020 Corvette Stingray is just the beginning of the C8 Corvette story. Numerous high-performance variants wearing the expected Z06 and ZR1 nomenclature are in the works. They will each depend on a new flat plane crank V8 that will take the Corvette to new heights. We first reported on this future engine last year. So, okay, let's go ahead and move forward here. The all-new 32-valve flat plane crank V8 has been under development within General Motors for several years. This is not an offshoot of the 4.2-liter Cadillac Blackwing V8, but rather an entirely new engine inspired by the Wagnerian exhaust notes of cars like Ferraris and McLarens. The new engine is expected to be 5.5 liters in displacement and have a firing order that mimics the Italian and British supercars, which produce a richer, deeper wail than the shriek of Ford's flat plane crank 5.2-liter Voodoo engine in the Mustang Shelby GT350. Okay, so getting into the Corvette Z06, it says, we expect the C8 Corvette Z06 will use a naturally aspirated version of the engine that will supposedly rev to 8,600 RPM and develop in excess of 600 horsepower, a power figure that's credible given the Voodoo's power rating at 8,250 RPM redline. More revs equal more power per liter. It is rumored that GM engineers had designed the motor to spin to 9,000 RPM, but that design elements of the Tremec built dual clutch automatic transmission, the same one that will be standard across all versions of the C8, restricted the redline to the lower number. This engine will help the Z06 return to its roots as a lightweight, naturally aspirated, high-revving rear drive, track-focused car. We believe that, as in our illustration above, it will have a wider body than the standard Stingray to cover its wider wheels and tires. Now here it's saying that it will be naturally aspirated, and that's very interesting. Now, it could be that there will be variants that will be naturally aspirated, and then maybe variants with twin turbos, maybe taking it from around 600 horsepower, the next level up maybe 800, and then going into the ZR1 maybe 1,000, but that's not what they say here. So let's go ahead and get into this. Corvette ZR1. The ZR1 will be the big daddy of vets, and its twin turbocharged version of the flat plane crank engine can be expected to put out well over 800 horsepower. It will likely not have as high a redline as the Z06. It will be rear-wheel drive and have a movable rear wing along with a front suspension that can automatically adjust ride height with speed to move the center of pressure and increase downforce for optimum handling. Okay, handling and balance. It will probably be the quickest C8 around the Nuremberg, but not the fastest in a straight line. Okay, so now moving on to the hybrid Corvette. That Nuremberg honor will go to the hybrid version of the C8, rumored to be called E-Ray or Zora. It will have a powerful electric motor where the front trunk is, and other models see cutaway above, which powers the front wheels independently of the rears. The twin-turbo engine will drive the rear tires. A small battery will be housed low in the structure, possibly inside the car's central spine. Total system power is expected to approach 1,000 horsepower for brief periods. The resulting all-wheel drive and instantaneous low-end torque will launch the Corvette like a rifle bullet and make it one of the quickest accelerating cars on the planet. The extra weight from the motor and battery, however, will probably keep it from being the quickest around the ring. So this is very, very interesting. Like I said, here they're calling for a 2020 Z06 naturally aspirated engine and somewhere north of 600 horsepower. Very interesting, guys. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I know there are many times that the publications can be a bit different in what they report, but this is a stark difference. So I guess we'll have to see how this all shakes out and see what happens. See what they release as the Z06, if it's a twin turbo or if it's naturally aspirated. I think either way, it would be a great car. But personally, I would definitely like the twin turbos much better. I mean, When it comes to that, it's when it comes to a forced induction car, especially with turbos, getting more horsepower is so easy as opposed to naturally aspirated. Now, you can get obviously more horsepower from a naturally aspirated engine, but like I said, the horsepower numbers don't jump up like they do with the turbo forced induction engine. But again, we shall see, guys. Just wanted to bring this information to you. Like I said, I found this very interesting, the fact that there is such a stark difference between the two. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Guys, this is a gorgeous car. I mean, I think looking at it, the side skirts, the splitter, and it has the canards here, even the wing. I mean, it's a beautiful car. The wheels are far better, but overall, it looks very similar. I think most likely the front will be a bit different. Now, if it is naturally aspirated, maybe not. It won't need so much more cooling. I mean, it'll obviously need more cooling than the LT2, but without the twin turbos, it won't be as necessary to have so much cooling. But either way, very interesting. And like I said, I think a very gorgeous car. Okay, guys, thank you again for joining me today. I really hope this video was informative and you enjoyed it. Please come back again today, and if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button as well as the like button. It really helps. And also that post notification button so you know when I've posted again, guys. Until next time, this has been DB71. Thank you again, and God bless.